Oh my God. Let me just tell you, Greg, you are so...
Hey everybody, you're listening to Gotspice with Greg and Kirti.
Recording the engagement session.
So normal couples, Greg, I
Yes.
think they, what is that called? Power Watch? Some show on Netflix.
Which one, like the best? No, not the best dressed one. What's that one? Finding the dress, being the dress, knowing
I don't
the
know.
dress.
Or that one where the teacher who does drugs, like Breaking Bad or whatever.
Wait, he wears dresses?
No, I don't think he wears dresses.
Oh, you never know.
He might.
Maybe.
I stopped after a couple seasons, but
I've actually never seen that show. I've heard wonderful things about it.
you should. We should actually watch that.
It's
We should
worth
do
it.
that. But apparently, we just like to randomly talk to each other with microphones and headphones on
I know,
instead.
it's fun, right? It's kind of like virtual reality with it being reality versus the virtual,
Oh,
which is the best part because then the after like party is even like more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
If you know what I'm thinking about. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
right.
What's the name of that show though? It's bothering me.
Best dressed.
No, the one Finding the Wedding Dress. Remember that? Like,
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
yeah, I forget the name of that show.
It's a famous show.
It is.
It's actually where Leonore ended up getting her dress at a shop. That was a part of that whole.
Oh, that's cool. That's
Yeah.
interesting. That was a great
And she
wedding.
looked gorgeous in her dress.
That would, I mean, the whole experience of her
was
wedding
amazing.
was such a fun time. Yeah,
That was a
going to Oaxaca.
ridiculous wedding. I don't think I can top that.
It just the pure fact of not only did she and Enrique look gorgeous together at this chapel from what the 1400s,
I think it was like from like
200 BC something.
Yeah, some insane.
And it was gorgeous. And then afterwards, like as we're parading down the streets with fireworks going on, if that happened here in the States, everyone would be arrested.
I think I appreciated the paper mache giant things that the town folk made of each of them and surprised them because it was such like a local community.
I forget the names of what those paper mache
They were like
models
caricatures. There were caricatures of them, but they were ginormous.
They were ginormous.
It was
And like
like
people are holding them up in the, it's like a Jewish and Mexican. Like the Jewish tradition is, everyone's like, being raised on chairs, and here it was just, paper mache version caricatures of them being paraded down the streets.
oh
People in stilts too. Weren't people on stilts?
yes, people in stilts. And then remember they were handing out shot glasses, the bamboo shot glasses.
Oh,
Everybody
with, like,
received one
with neck bands.
with like a necklace attached to it, so that when as you're parading and celebrating the couple, we were served Oaxacan local mezcal,
which was
was
gorgeous.
amazing.
Yeah, which was absolutely wonderful.
But we're being dry this month.
Well,
no, we're not dry.
We're not dry.
We're curbing.
Because it's post-holiday season, and during the holiday season, there were several different
Too many
festive
outings
events
on
and
days we
many-
don't drink.
Correct. And so we're just like pulling back the way we normally would do, which is during the week, being professional, and then on weekends,
Yes.
partying. It's kind of like a mullet. It's business on the front and party in the back.
I have a lot of party in the back going on.
You're just full of life, and you are a party.
You're so cute.
I know. Thank you.
So
I can't wait for the party in my pants later.
Whoa.
Whoa. Might be the party in your pants. Who knows?
I don't know about pants or parties.
That's right, because they come off. So therefore, it's just the pure party.
Oh my God. Okay, so we went there.
We always go there.
Gregory.
What? Kirti.
You've left me speechless like you always do.
I know, it's stunning, right? I'm stunning. You're stunning. You always leave me speechless as well, just because, just from looking at you, you're so gorgeous.
Did you drink?
No.
We're not supposed to drink today.
No, we didn't drink.
We're going to have our
but
brand new drink today.
We do. We haven't started drinking this new drink yet, which is a non-alcoholic drink.
It is. I did a little bit of research on what are some really nice Champagne Friday environments that we can create without us diving into our Moet or into our Veuve Clicquot and
Paul Roger.
yes, or
some Cremants.
Roederer or whatever.
Roederer is nice. Or Louis Roederer. But then there's also Roederer Estate, which is nice,
Yes, and Pierre Jouet, whatever. Like we can go on and on.
Oh, just Bollinger?
No, we can't talk about these things.
Okay. Why not?
Because we are going to be exploring a new created non-alcoholic champagne.
Shall I grab it?
Yes.
But before I grab it, one champagne that we have to talk about, which we just did open during the holiday season, which was given to us as a gift for our
Engagement.
yes, and that bottle was a bottle of
Some fancy stuff from LVMH.
Dom Perignon.
No, not Dom Perignon.
We drank Dom Perignon.
No, I thought you were talking about the White Beautiful bottle.
Oh no, the Runart. Runart's a beautiful bottle, but that was when we were first engaged.
What, we were engaged twice?
No, that was so Runart was given to us by the people over at the ambassador over at Tiffany's, who is touting. He's like, oh yeah, no, I'm the guy who does everything with Jay-Z. I'm their ambassador, and he's like our concierge there. So he is the one that gave us these bottles of Runart to celebrate with the ring that I happen to give you. I'm talking about the bottle that we opened up while your sister and our brother-in-law were
we finally
here.
Opened that up.
Yes, after
and that was a
year and a half.
congratulatory gift
Correct.
from my awesome, lovely boss that I used to work for.
Over at BNY Mellon.
Yeah, she really, I still love her and adore her. And we finally opened up that bottle and shared it with other people we love.
Yeah, we were saving it for a special occasion, and I think it was the perfect time to open it right. I think it was on December 22nd.
It was right before Christmas. Yes.
Yeah, it was December 22nd when relatives came over, and we enjoyed that before heading out to meet other friends for a Mexican lunch, which we also love with tequila.
We cannot have enough of Mexican.
I know,
food,
we eat Mexican quite often.
I said I wouldn't eat Mexican today, and I still had like a salad that had a Mexican theme to it.
Oh, you did? That's right. Yeah.
I seem to not how to eat Mexican.
We both love Mexican. Well, because it's quite good. You know what? The best.
So good.
What we love about Mexican is the great Mexican restaurants. One is the food is it's fresh. You can get vegetarian.
You could also make it what you want.
Seafood. You can make it how you want it made. It's customized to your needs, especially for you. Like just ordering guacamole is one of the most stressful events of my life. Because when
you know what? Remember what our friend Kelly, she does a great impersonation of me, and she can order my guacamole no matter where we go.
Oh, what is that impression?
It is, I really love your guacamole, and I want it extra, extra, extra spicy, and no raw onions because I'll die, and a side of soft corn tortillas.
Yes, and God forbid I eat any form of
Kelly
raw
imitates
onion.
me to the T.
Oh, absolutely. That's only one instance. That's one idiosyncrasy of many.
Let's not get into yours, Greg.
Oh, my Lord. There must be a laundry list.
Uh-huh.
Is that just called revenge?
No.
Yes.
No.
That's what that sounds like. It sounds like you're being combative right now.
I'm not being combative. I'm just saying I got some
Just saying.
juice, you know?
Oh, juice. What type of juice?
And
Juicy juice?
I could squeeze that orange if I wanted to.
I see. Remember that movie Juice from back in was that the 80s or early 90s?
Was I
Juice.
born?
Juice. Of course. What do you mean were you born? You make it sound like you were born like 3 weeks ago.
I was not
You're
born
not a spring chicken.
not born 3 weeks ago.
But you make it sound like, was I even, basically, I was like, oh, remember like back in, 2017? And you're like, was I even born?
Shut up. That's messed up.
That's not bad. Why are you telling me to shut up? That's
Because
rude.
you're telling me that I pretend I'm young.
That is just plain rude.
I feel hurt.
You should feel hurt.
I have to tighten my head
You know what?
now because my head just shrunk.
You should feel remorse.
You know what? I think you're being a bully.
A bully.
And we had an issue.
Different. By the way, your headphones are crooked right now. No, you're adjusting the wrong side.
Oh, this way?
No, you need to go this way.
Maybe I'm crooked and you pointed out to the whole world that my face is crooked and my head is crooked.
Would you like me to adjust your headphones for you?
Oh my God. Is it that bad? We were just talking about bullying.
Oh, yes.
And
how you bully me?
no, that's not true.
That's totally true.
Oh, you know what? Now I'm going to bring it up.
You know what? You're a bully.
No, I'm going to bring it up. So I went on Facebook today and I discovered, I was like, why is my profile saying that I'm single? And the only reason I question this is because I keep getting these weird, inappropriate promos of
Like friendship requests from randos saying, "Are you like
no, that
single?"
I always get. I didn't even got that when I was married. Like it's just gross men. It's more that Facebook itself is like, you look like you could use a date. You look like you're single. You could try this dating app. And I'm like, what the heck? Why do you keep sending me this shit? Like, I don't want this promoted. So I went into my profile. And you know what I discovered?
What did you discover?
Someone didn't accept my engagement update.
I don't ever remember receiving one.
Okay. Well, that's because you're a little antisocial social boy.
That is so untrue.
That is actually true.
I just think what you were receiving is because
Who has
I've been
more friends on social?
I've been buying advertising to like pimp you out.
Okay, listen. You may know social from a work perspective,
stop it.
but personally,
No.
you are so antisocial.
Well, there's a reason why I had to be antisocial for a little while, and you know the reason for that.
Because you were married to an old lady?
Yes. And not because I was married to an old lady. It's the divorce proceedings. And I needed to remove myself from social to expose what my day-to-day life really was like. And it was hard enough with family and or others that happened to be leaking things back to my ex, there's a mole somewhere leaking things back and making the divorce proceedings quite challenging.
Well, let me just tell you about my Facebook experience.
And my lawyer
today.
advised that I take myself
This
completely
is
off.
getting legal.
Oh, it is. She advised that I take myself completely off of social. And that is why I went from being a very social individual to being a less social individual.
Well, you know what? You were an amazing proposal.
Thank you. That's a nice compliment.
The best that I ever had. And
It's weird. You tell me that every night. And morning.
And
And afternoon.
All right,
Especially
Greg.
now during COVID.
Oh my God. It's not COVID anymore. Like it's a different
That's
COVID.
true.
It's the new COVID.
It's not COVID anymore.
You know
it's the vid.
You know how Coke redid its formula and it was just like the new Coke and then the other Coke
But the
and
problem
the
is,
new Coke.
that's
It's
true. But
just
people
like
didn't like the new Coke. Remember?
It's like the new Coke.
People didn't
Like,
like
you know?
it, and they retreated back to the original Coke.
But I want to tell you my story about Facebook today
Okay.
because
About how you were bullying me?
it's about how I was bullied. I was being bullied because
Who bullied you?
you
I didn't bully you.
bullied me
I did not bully you.
with your
How did I bully you?
because you didn't accept my engagement update.
The second it came through, I accepted it.
I was like so embarrassed. I went into my profile and I was like, why
Well-
does it say your engaged profile update has not been accepted? So I was like,
I don't remember ever receiving
oh my
one.
God. No, you are terrible at those Facebook updates. Like you look at me and you're like, what is this thing? Like, why am I getting this? What am I supposed to do?
That is so untrue.
That is so
That's
true.
so untrue.
Kirti, what do I do with the reel?
So-
Tell me what to do.
That is so untrue.
So true. I'm going to call you out.
That's so untrue.
Little shit.
No, that's so untrue. Oh
So,
my God. It might be
like-
true.
So I'm like, wait, what? That's why it's like reverted back to single and I'm being targeted with these stupid single ads. So I updated it today. And then you obliged me with an acceptance,
I
which
did.
was so kind.
Which was quite instant.
Today it was.
Yeah. Well, I do not recall you doing
1
it
year
prior.
and 4 months ago it
I
wasn't.
don't have any reminders, and I don't recall you ever doing it. And by the way, the pure fact that you set it up today to do it makes me believe that it actually wasn't set up correctly. And then when you set it up, it said we were engaged in 2022.
That was not me. That was Facebook.
And then you obviously had no idea what you were doing, and it posted it to your wall.
Yeah, well, I didn't know it's going to do a whole post, which was really kind of like, oh, that's kind of cute. But then I was like, oh no, it's engagement season. People are going to actually think we got engaged now. And of course, we had some close friends on Facebook who were like, that's old news. And like, but the bullying thing came up in terms of, I was like, excited that this finally is live. And then you're all like, oh, you had to go through immigration. And I'm like, excuse me, you don't have to approve my application for immigration. What the heck is that all about?
What are you talking about? I had to pull some strings.
And then you used the mafia line.
Oh, because you were saying you were threatening the Staten Island Mafia.
Well, I came back with Staten Island Mafia. Don't even try it, right? I can go Staten Island on you anytime.
Yeah, but let's like clarify this. So there is what we
don't Marissa Tomei. I can Marissa Tomei you.
Oh, nice. Okay, let's like a little My Cousin Vinny. Let's see it. Let's hear it.
Oh my God. Let me just tell you, Greg, you are so wrong. You are just, you know what? I'm walking out on this relationship.
No, you're not.
Never.
So people think I'm like, so now you're telling everyone that I'm a bully, but really
You're not a bully.
We were having behind the scenes banter,
I'm the
and then I
bigger
was writing
bully.
it.
I'm like the Staten Island Goomba.
I know you are. Yeah.
But it was funny because we were bantering on social, and then someone else like finally is like, this is not old news for me. I didn't see this announcement last time. That's because I didn't really announce it because I didn't. And
what are you talking about? We put up like 10 pictures.
that was you.
That was me. Yeah,
That was
that's true.
me.
But I tagged you.
You tagged me, but it was your post.
That's true.
I was still kind of keeping it on the...
Maybe because I was elated that you had accepted my proposal in front of a very large audience on a very large stage.
Yes. It was really big. And pretty much everybody that we knew except for our immediate family was there because it was an industry event.
It was.
But the reason I didn't announce it is because, well, I have superstitious beliefs and I didn't want an evil eye to be casted upon us by announcing it so outlandishly and someone being like, oh, that bitch, she got him or she got that ring or, there's just unfortunately a lot of evil people out there.
I mean, absolutely. Those are two reasons to have evil eyes casted on us. I mean, you got me and you got an awesome ring.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better than that.
Yeah, it's totally not about me.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It's really not. But that like brings me to this idea that I feel like there's a lot more superstition around the idea of engagement and getting married. And there's definitely that from my cultural background. But now that it's like, it is engagement season, I see all these people announcing that they're getting engaged, even though we're new to like the podcasting scene. There's so many like podcasting like couples out there announcing their weddings and engagements. It's kind of cute. And I'm just like, why is it happening all around like Christmas to New Year's? Like, what's up with that?
That's a great question. Is it because it's easier? Or
Well,
expected?
that's my question for dudes.
I don't
Why
know.
do you propose around the holidays, gentlemen?
Yeah. For my first engagement, it was right around the holidays. But it was.
You did? You were one of those?
But so I'll tell you the reason why. So there was a reason why. Because when I proposed to my first wife, I wanted to. So when I'm thinking about a proposal, I just want something sort of, you know me, spectacular, miraculous, something that feels like we're on top of the world. And when I was proposing to my ex, I had a place in mind where I wanted to do it. And unfortunately, by the time, which was on actually the top of a like a little bit of a mountain region, and by the time we would have gotten there, it would have been another 6+ months, and we knew that we wanted to get married the next year, and so the timing wasn't going to work out.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
Why did you have to get married by a certain time period?
We had been dating for 4 years, and
But she's older than you.
She's older than me.
So is that
Yeah.
what the rush was?
I would say she was 5 years older than me. We knew that we eventually wanted to start a family, and
that makes sense.
And it was, we were basically at the 4-year mark, right? And we weren't going to get married at our 6-year mark or 7-year mark, and we knew that just that.
Why is that a mark?
I'll tell you why. I wanted to be at a certain place in my career. I wanted to make a certain amount of money. I wanted to be at a certain place, like a certain stature, before getting married. And then I learned in life that life just happens, right? And you have to make decisions, and you're not always necessarily going to be where you want to be when you have to make a decision, right? And you just need to make that decision and move on. And so I realized I think at the 4-year mark that the time was right. Is it where I wanted to be, say professionally or those other reasons I was mentioning earlier? Was I exactly there yet? No. And actually I learned the same thing about when having a child, the same thing. Like you're always thinking, I want to be at a certain stage. I want all these things in line and in place before you have a child. I just learned that you just have to do it. And when you try to have a child, it may not happen when you want it to happen. You just need to just accept life as it happens. And so when I decided I was going to propose, I knew where I wanted to do it. And to get to that environment wasn't going to be another 6 to 8 months. And, the thought was, okay, we'll get married, in my head. And I think we had discussed, I don't even remember if we actually discussed or not when exactly we'd get married, but thought was, okay, we probably need to get married next year, or is this relationship going to continue to go on or not? And I decided to propose in the city here with this kind of romantic proposal, which I can go into, but I'm not going to go into. And it happened to just fall around the December timeframe, not because I was aligning it with Christmas. It's just that's when it happened to fall, because it's when I chose to ask the question and set up this scenario versus waiting till next year, because we knew that we wanted to get married in like the September of the following year. And so I needed to kind of do it so we could start planning the wedding. And that's why mine was around the Christmas season.
It doesn't sound like very romantic and surprising.
It
sounds like you guys were on a schedule.
I felt it was the right time. I don't want to say it was a schedule, but a schedule of we either need to move
you guys
this relationship
had these
forward
milestones.
or not.
But there were a lot of milestones. It's so interesting because I'm 5 years younger than you, and my previous husband was 6 years older than me, and I met him when I was only a sophomore in college, and I was so young when we got married. And I guess my perspective on life was I just wanted to be loved. I didn't care about who was making money or who was not, who's going to go to grad school first or not. Like, I think I'm a bit of like a Jane Austen, Emily Bront. I read too many old world like love novels, and I had this perspective that you can make anything and be anything if you just find the right person to love you. And he was the right person to love me at that time. And, we fell in love and we got engaged in a rather odd and precarious fashion. I kind of messed up the engagement.
Really? How'd you mess up an engagement?
Well, I think I broke a few of the superstitious rules.
Superstitious rules.
Yeah, so
what are those?
we actually, not to divulge too much into like our real personal closet here, but we actually were broken up in between, mostly because I think we both wanted to figure out what we really wanted from our next phase in life after being together for a few years, and we were dating long distance, and I was about to finish college, and I also needed to figure out what I wanted. Like, do I want to be with a dude I met from Miami who was already in a career and doing his thing, but I was also very old fashioned, and I felt like I should be committed to the person that I told that I love and that I've been with for the last few years. So I think I struggled emotionally with a lot of these things. But long story short, we broke up. Then we sort of got back together, and it was like, I'll call it the soft get back together time period. And I was being open-minded to being back together. And he took me for this amazing dinner and day, and we saw a movie and went out to dinner to this amazing restaurant on the Upper East Side area.
Nice.
And then on
the Upper East Side, you said?
Sort of near that area, like 59th Street,
Okay.
like that area.
That's not too on the West Side, but that's not too far where I actually proposed.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he didn't propose there because I just kept asking, why are you carrying this weird, ugly work bag with you, like everywhere we're going?
Huh.
And he was like, oh, I might need my laptop. And he was a huge international work traveler. So I was just like, laptop? You're going to take your laptop? Like, just like laptops back then, by the way, if you guys remember.
I
these
remember.
Giant desktops. Like,
I remember having one.
Heavy.
13 pounds.
Yeah, it was
13
heavy.
pounds. It was heavy.
And I was like, oh. And then we get back finally at the end of the evening. We're back in the car, and we had a heart-to-heart, and we, really had a clean table site conversation of being back together. And then I was like, what's been in the bag? Like, that you keep carrying this bag. And I really didn't know what was in the bag, except I was like, you never took your laptop out. So what is the deal? And he actually took out a beautiful box or jewelry box and showed me a ring. And he goes, I originally had planned on proposing to you, but I think we want to make sure we both are in the right place. And I still remember this overwhelming feeling of, I just ruined my opportunity with him. If I was just like, not like, so open about my feelings and maybe just like let things happen, that could have been a proposal. But I saw the ring.
Oh, interesting.
But then fast forward, like a month later, I thought, oh, maybe like we're good. We're in a great place. And I thought, it's Valentine's Day. He's going to see me.
And you thought he was going to pop the question then?
Yeah. And I think when you're like a 22-year-old girl, you're like, yeah, you should propose to me on Valentine's Day. Fast forward in your 40s. I'm like, that is so cheesy. Like, my perspective is so different now.
I actually thought you were going to tell me that beforehand, like the movie and like this kind of, he was setting up this romantic day that he was going to pop the question then. But this was really a story about you accidentally seeing the ring.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know you shouldn't really see the ring unless you're being proposed to. Like, apparently it's a superstition.
I'm perplexed or just wondering how I could get it, how that's a superstition, especially in, I feel like this day and age, women will often go shopping with the man and choose her ring. We didn't do that, but many people will do that.
With that.
I'm kind of old school and surprising.
I am old school too. I don't agree with that. I think as much as I'm like a feminist and I'm a strong woman who does, well, one of my flaws and you would say is a good and a bad about me is I'm very independent. Like I will do everything by myself, but you got to let like romance happen.
Absolutely.
You have to also let the person really know you to
I agree.
Share what they think you'll like with you, right? Like,
well, as someone who has bought 2 engagement rings, I can have a thought or two on the process. One, I personally believe in surprising your fiance with a gorgeous token of appreciation, to be together and just, to love one another. But one thing I learned about buying a diamond ring, or just buying a diamond, we'll say that will sit within that band, is that
the 3 C's.
The 3 C's. Well, no. What I was going to say is that you don't choose the diamond chooses you. It's really quite interesting. Where every time I've looked for a ring, it's like no, and then all of a sudden there's one that's like, oh, And it's like it literally chooses you. You don't choose. I remember the first ring I was buying, I brought my business partner, Roger, and because he was like this gemologist type guy, and
He seems like someone who would know a lot of diamond dealers.
he used to, like, one of his guys was like Jacob the jeweler, which is where Puffy used to go to and everything.
Really?
Oh yeah, because he used to design his own jewelry, and so I brought him with me to get the first ring. And so we were there, and the jeweler, it happened to be a gentleman that I used to work for. It was a connection through him. And so we kind of went up to this loft area in the Diamond District. And
It sounds shady, McShady.
It sounds, Shady McShady, but it wasn't. It was a legit spot.
You just said Diamond District.
Diamond District. And so we are kind of going through like diamond through diamond through diamond. And each one we're like, no. All of a sudden he pulls one out, and both of us at the same time are like, that's the one. And when I looked for your diamond, obviously you had, I think, in your head like ideas of what you would love, which is wonderful. And I just happened to go shopping for a diamond that I felt that would fit a princess who will become a queen. And as I was going through the different diamonds, I was like, oh, okay, these are great. These are great. I was like, ooh, I want this one. And they didn't happen to have exactly what I was looking for, so they had to ship it from one of their other locations because there was only
that's right.
They had a few others, but there was a certain size, color, clarity, like all these different things I wanted, and so they had to ship it. The 3 C's. And so when they shipped it, they reached out to me that it had arrived because there was only one of its kind across the entire world, across the entire globe. And so when it arrived, I walked in and the guy opens the box and it was like, oh, and I was like, that is absolutely the one that I have to buy.
I love what you gave me.
And so that is how I chose your ring. Actually, I didn't choose your ring. It chose me.
Oh,
it chose us.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't choose you. You sort of like appeared in my life.
Mm-hmm. And vice versa. It's true.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
Yep.
So what do you think about, though, like dudes that like propose at Christmas or New Year's or... By the way, I will say April Fool's is off the table, guys. It's just like not cool.
Will you marry me?
It's hashtag
Psych.
cool, not
April
cool.
Fools.
It's like cool, not cool. Sorry,
that's not cool. Yeah, no, that's the wrong. That's probably that has to be probably the worst day.
That has to be the wrong message.
It's the wrong message. Yeah, but I don't want to diss people who have proposed on that particular day and they have a wonderful.
I'm sure they are fine.
Life together. So, you know what? I'm going to step back and say, I feel there isn't a wrong day to propose. There's absolutely no wrong day to propose because there's so many stars that need to align sometimes to make it happen the way that a man or woman would like to propose to their significant other.
So I think immature Kirti, which I could be really immature.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of like, oh, you couldn't be more like creative and you're just giving me an engagement ring instead of like 10 fun presents for Christmas.
Or it could be both. It doesn't need to be one or the other.
Let's be real. Mm-hmm. Like dudes don't do that. They're like,
don't say.
Men are like, I'm spending X on this. So I'm going to limit this. Like, that's just how men think.
I don't think all men think that way.
You guys are like born accountants.
You're being judgmental.
No, I'm being experienced.
I'm not sure if I agree with that. You say we're accountants? You think men are that smart to be accountants?
You guys are just accounting shit all the time.
Yeah, we're counting how many times we are, thinking about how many times we're going to be able to like have sex after we give you that ring. That's about it. This ring equals X amount of intimacy.
Oh God, Greg. Come on, let's lift the topic to a higher level here.
But why? We're talking about engagements and what part of love, part of being engaged, part of that whole experience is being intimate. And it doesn't need to mean sex. It could be intimate in multiple different ways, but it's being intimate with one another.
But what I was going to say and you let me talk about mature Kirti, is I think there is no wrong day to get engaged.
I don't think there's a wrong day.
As long as the person you're getting engaged to, you are truly in love with.
Like if you think about
like
when I
if
proposed
you
to you.
proposed to me, like in our apartment alone, I think I would have been just as elated as I was when you proposed to me on the stage of the Ziegfeld, which, by the way, is still probably one of the best engagements in history.
Thank you.
Like
I put a lot of
think
thought into
I think
that.
a lot of our dude friends were a little like, dude, what'd you gotta one up me like that? Like what the F? Now I gotta do that shit for my girl.
Yeah, that's
like,
true. We did get a lot of flack for that. But you know what? I think we are two special, unique, charismatic individuals. And I just think it's the way that we think and the way we do things. And when I knew that, I always knew I wanted to propose to you. It's just a matter of time. And when I would be allowed to, because of the impending divorce situation, and with that still impending, I hit a point where I was like, you know what, let's just get engaged and kind of cement our relationship in that capacity, I guess. And so, which would be, I thought, also a good sign for the children as well.
Well, what does engagement mean for you as this is the second time? Like, what does it symbolically, definitively mean for you?
I don't look at it as a second time. I just look at, I found the love of my life, and that transcends everything. The only thing that really makes it really a second time to me is just the pure fact that it just in all practical nature, I was once, say married and I have a child. That's the only thing that technically to me makes it a second engagement. When you find the love of your life, and to me, it's as though, I hate to say it like this. I shouldn't say I hate to say it like this, but because I have a daughter, it's as though I wasn't married before. And this is like the first time I'm doing it because I truly found my soulmate. And so it's something I knew I wanted to do. I was waiting till I was what I thought was legally allowed to do. But then I found out that I didn't have to actually wait, and thought that it would be the right time to do it. And we were stuck in COVID. And when I wanted to propose, I like to do things, like as you said, you'd be happy if I just did it in the apartment. I wanted to make it spectacular.
You did.
I wanted to do something that's on top of the world, right? And when I was thinking about how to do that, it was during COVID. We couldn't travel anywhere. And then we were coming sort of out of COVID, sort of, but not really. Live events were coming back, and we were able to just be around people again. And I was thinking about where would be a great spot to do it. We love performing together. We love being on stage together. There's a community of individuals within the financial services industry who have been rooting for us and always asking, are you engaged yet? When are you getting married? And many of them very good friends. And it dawned on me that the best possible place I could do it was on the stage at the Ziegfeld Theater during the FCS Portfolio Awards, when the Portfolio Awards were just coming back after COVID live, because we love performing on that stage. And also I felt that I owed everyone in the industry the respect of being part of this experience, because they were all rooting for us and they kept asking, when are you getting married? And I felt, why not bring that community in and make them part of this entire experience?
Well, it worked out because it was a really giant engagement party.
It really was. It really was.
It was so shockingly surprising, but delightful, obviously.
Yeah, I remember when I decided I wanted to do it, I thought about it logistically, and then I reached out to, we're on the board of the FCS, Financial Communication Society. I had reached out to our CEO, making him aware that I wanted to do this, and he was into it. And we kind of discussed where in the program we could do it.
They're so awesome.
Yeah, very awesome. and we discussed that we thought the best time to do it would be right as the award ceremony was closing before it goes into the after party, because we knew that it would be a spectacle, and we didn't want to take away from the award show. And we knew that would also be a time when people are ready to celebrate and just kick off the after party. And the only people who knew was the CEO of the FCS and the AV team, who had known us for quite some time, because
probably a decade.
Yeah, a decade, because they were the AV team handling all of our productions and performances that we used to perform at the FCS Portfolio Awards. And they set up wonderful fireworks that evening. And we have some great footage that a friend of ours happened to capture, not because he knew we were doing it. All of a sudden, he saw me walking up behind you. And part of the ruse was the CEO of the FCS mentioned, what I'm going to do is to get Kirti back on stage.
That was a really clever ruse. I had zero idea you were going to do this.
This was his idea. He's 100% credit. And so he mentioned, how are we going to get Kirti back on stage? And he mentioned, why don't I call, because you were a presenter that evening, why don't I call all the speakers and presenters back on stage to do a group photo? That way she's there.
Yeah, that's clever.
And so you get up from your seat and you start walking towards the stage, and then I get up sort of, a few seconds behind you, and our friend happens to see me walking behind you. And at that time, I pulled the ring box out of my jacket, which had been sitting there all night. And I was worried, like, when we're taking pictures, if it's going to bump into you or not. And I was holding it, kind of protecting it, keeping it hidden. And he happened to see, like, wait, what's in his hand? Let me grab my phone and start recording it. And so luckily, we have a recording of that proposal.
Are we going to share it?
We sure can. I'm happy to share it.
Okay.
Wow. Kirti Naik, I love you. I remember the first day I laid eyes on you at the breakfast table. It was a New Embassy event, FCS, in Philadelphia. I think it was May 6, 2011. I fell in love with you. We became friends. Then we fell in love with each other. And this entire community has watched our relationship bloom, which is why I wanted to do this in front of everyone, because everyone, I think, has been waiting for this moment and wanted to do it in front of everyone, because everyone's asking, when is it going to happen? We love this stage. We're in a band together. We play this stage multiple times. It's a very special spot for us. We have this wonderful blended family. I love your daughter, and I know you love my daughter. And I love you from the bottom of my heart. So I have a question for you. We've always taught that when, it's an industry that we both never ever thought we'd be in. We're both from the entertainment world. Does it look like it or what? And we ended up in finance at an event we weren't even supposed to be at, but fate brought us there. We always talked that maybe we were this, prince and princess from Egypt thousands of years ago, and our souls finally connected. And so, Kirti Naik, I want to know, will you marry me?
Yes!
It's definitely one of the best highlights of my life.
Me too.
It was like so insane and surprising And I feel so lucky.
Afterwards, because I was doing it in a public setting on a stage in front of hundreds of people, people afterwards were, joking around, asking like, well, what if she said no? I was like, yeah, that's not, I hope that's not going to happen.
Jeez. This is when we open up some toast.
Yes. Which is interesting. So toast, which is, you said it's Italian, but it's...
It actually came in a box that said it was shipped from an Italian wine distribution place. But then it says it's French in their profile. But then I look at their manufacturing distribution. It's from Manchester, Vermont. Whatever. It is alcohol-free. And
We're gonna
it
try it
allows
for the
us
first time.
to cleanse our liver.
But why? How is it named toast?
They said it's pronounced toast.
Toast, but it has like an umlaut on it, like the two little dots,
Yes.
an umlaut.
Yes, it is an umlaut.
Shouldn't it have
It should be like toast.
toast? But it should have like a macron on it, something to say to emphasize the O. We are trying this for the very first time, and in all candor, this is not a sponsor, but they could sponsor us if we like this. But we're trying it as an alternative especially for anyone that's going dry in January. I would say in some of our podcasts, we will be sampling different forms of non-alcoholic beverages that we can kind of help to promote.
Absolutely. And I just think it's great also because we don't drink every single day of the week. And maybe we feel like having a little bubbly and celebrating something. And this probably is great for like my parents too. So I was like,
that's true. Yeah. And we also, because we drink, we enjoy club soda and seltzer and things. And this might be a nice little alternative.
absolutely. Clink, clink.
Clink, clink. Let's try it.
Let's see if I can reach you. Yes,
Cheers.
I can still reach
Let's
you.
see what this is like.
Oh, it's not bad. That's actually nice. It's a little sweeter than the mentioning dry, though.
As I'm like checking out the nose, it tastes and smells like a glorified ginger ale.
It can. So maybe this is good for my stomach.
It very well could be.
It's like when me and my tummy problems sometimes, I'm like, guys, I can't drink. I could whip out the toast.
You can taste each of the flavors. So you said there's white tea in this. There's
And cranberry.
and ginger. It's not bad. Actually, as I continue to have sips.
It tastes like, remember we used to drink La Marca?
Yeah.
It tastes like a La Marca, or when you have like a Lambrusca, like those vino beer things that are like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah. Except for the Lambrusco, it's a white versus a red.
They make a white and a red Lambrusco.
Do they?
I've seen it. Like,
Have you seen the white?
Yeah. But this is like alcohol free and gives you like the same texture and vibe.
It's not bad actually. So if toast, am I saying that correctly? Toast.
Toast.
If Toast would like to sponsor us, we will gladly drink your product.
We will drink. They have a rosé.
You want what would be really good in this? I know we love our tequila, but I would say you could infuse this with vodka.
Oh yeah.
You could put vodka in there. Absolutely. Oh, actually, you want this would be really good with?
Gin.
But what is something I do love to make also? I haven't made it in a while since pre-pandemic at parties, but punch. And so a punch recipe is, depending on the recipe, champagne, sherbet, and ginger ale.
Oh.
You could replace the ginger ale with this because it's a little less gingery.
My mom makes the non-alcoholic version of that with Sprite. Remember, she makes her punch in the summertime for parties.
I love champagne punch, but I love champagne. I absolutely love champagne
You're
punch.
a fancy boy.
What's great about champagne punch is that if you're on a budget and you need to throw a party and you'd like to have something of a sparkling sensation for people and you do not want to spend a ton of money on even less expensive sparklings, you could buy cheaper sparkling and make champagne punch and people enjoy it just as much as long as you know how to make it the right proportion.
Champagne punch.
Champagne punch.
Don't serve that at your engagement party.
I wasn't endorsing it for a engagement party, but just a party overall.
I will say on the receiving end of this, 0 ideas that you were doing it.
It was...
I had 0 expectations. And I had 0, like, any I did not know I'd end up with that.
There was only one person who knew that I was doing it. And that was your daughter.
Which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
When we got married for the first time in our lives previously, you know, there was like a lot of the traditional kind of approaches, right? Like my boyfriend, now my ex, but he asked my dad for permission. He did the whole rigmarole. You didn't do that, right?
Not on the second one.
Time.
So on the first engagement, I did. I had reached out to my ex's father, and he lived further away, so it wasn't easy to like do it in person. So I discussed it with him on the phone, and I just felt it was appropriate in a first wedding, younger, and so I felt that that's appropriate. And I'm sort of old school in that nature, but
you were younger.
I was significantly younger, but for a second engagement, being in my 40s as an adult, looking to marry someone who's also been married with a child, I decided to, instead of asking permission from your father, I decided to ask permission from your daughter.
I just love you did that.
Instead.
It meant so much to me that she is like my precious. She's my little, she's my life. And she was my like little buddy since she was born. But then after I got divorced, she was like my person, like more than being my daughter. She was just like so many elements to me. So you doing that, like, it really warmed my heart.
And so I also wanted to be a super surprise. And so I didn't want to tell anyone else at all. So no one in your family, just in case accidentally. It's very easy for something to leak. And then I didn't mention it to my daughter because I was just the same reason. I was worried somehow it could leak. And so I asked your daughter, I also invited her to come look at the ring with me before I purchased it. But
really?
Yeah, but unfortunately on that day, she had something going on with school and she couldn't make it, but she was going to be home afterwards. And so when I had arrived back after she was already home, and she's like, oh, let me see it. She was all excited to see it. But meanwhile, you were like walking in like 5 minutes. So I was like, oh my God, let's do this quickly.
You guys are so sneaky.
And so she saw it and she was excited. And then I had to find a spot to really hide it. And because it was a bright little blue box that just kind of stands out and attracts any woman's eye.
It's called a Tiffany box.
A Tiffany box. And so I had to hide it well, keep it hidden. And
it's not like your average box,
It's not like your average box. And so I had to keep it hidden. I had to keep it out of sight. And then the day that we were getting ready, I also had to find a way to slyly take it from its location and pop it into my blazer.
Yeah, and you wear very tailored clothing.
I do. It was...
And we were sitting in a cab for a while together.
And at one point, I thought you felt it because you were sitting sort of next to me, and I couldn't move it from one side to the other, so I was trying to keep my arm in the way to protect the little bulge that was right there.
I was in a pretty fierce outfit that day. I think I was worried about chains I don't know, doing something.
Like Janet Jackson, Rhythm Nation, falling out.
I needed to not let any boobs pop out. I needed to keep this stuff.
As a colleague and friend called them the puppies.
Yeah.
The puppies were out.
That's just I don't even understand what that means. There's dog pieces here, dog butts.
I have no idea.
What does that even mean?
I have no idea.
The puppies.
The puppies were out.
I think that's just wrong.
And then you're up on stage presenting, and then you're on these large jumbotrons with the puppies.
Stop, Greg.
Kirti. It was great. You looked gorgeous.
I'm a little couture with my fashion statement.
You absolutely, you are. And we both are. I guess a question I have for everyone that is listening to this or may see the actual video, leave your comments. Let us know what you think. Maybe it will help inspire men out there who are looking to propose to maybe give ideas. I feel our relationship, I feel the way I proposed, our engagement, the way we live our life is inspirational. We try to find, instead of focusing on what could have been, what should have been, we always try to find happiness in everything that we do. It's easy to focus and dwell on any form of negativity or the challenges, especially being a blended family.
But it's also why I think we are drawn to each other.
I agree. Bringing a blended family together there's complications across the whole board, but I think we navigate it really quite well.
But when they hear our story, and if you don't have a blended situation and you're just like in love, and you should consider this idea of maybe getting together and getting engaged and getting married, it's a piece of cake, guys, compared to like our situation.
I 100% agree.
I mean,
it's positive energy.
It's about the energy. But speaking of energy, remember how we were talking about superstitions earlier, like the ring thing and looking at it? There's some weird shit happening right now. Have you heard about like people eating grapes under a table or something in the hopes that they'll be proposed to? It's weird.
I've heard of multiple...
I mean, good luck. I just think that's a new one for me.
What about the old school, just a woman catching flowers at a wedding and a man catching the garter? Isn't that the original?
Funny? You know what's funny? The weddings I went to, like in my 20s, and all these chicks who were catching bouquets, they're like not married. Like
they're still catching their bouquets.
They are still out there partying it up, living the way they want. Like some of the stuff is just so funny to me. But then I do believe in some superstitious things. Like a woman who is not engaged, if she wears her friend's ring on the engagement ring hand, I do think it's not good luck.
I agree. Well, I'm trying to think. Well, I'm trying not to be superstitious.
But you sort of are, babe.
Well, that's because it's funny. I'm being an athlete. We're very superstitious people. And so,
but you're a hockey player, so you guys are extra.
We're extra superstitious.
You're extra.
We are extra, like extra. Read all about it. 'Cause we're always in the headlines. That's right. I guess there's an element of superstition there, an element of energy that might be transferring from the ring onto the finger of a non-engaged individual, which then becomes potentially a repellent to future engagements. I just made that up, but it sounds great. It sounds logical and practical.
I love your circular communication skills.
I know they're great because I can start at one point, bring it right back down, and you've got everything you need.
It's like when you draw Greg talking, he starts here, he goes here, but then he goes there. You're like that weird movie we saw. The Saw movie.
The Saw movie. I was thinking more of the
symbol
brilliance
of the Saw movies.
I was thinking more of the brilliance of A Perfect Mind.
All right.
But
All right.
I get it.
Listen, Russell Crowe.
You know what? I'm a musician, so I'm a mathematical thinker.
You are.
I am.
Sometimes.
1 + 1 doesn't equal 2.
Oh.
No, it's 11.
Oh. All right, then. Do you remember when we spoke to someone recently and you were like, oh, I'm like a Gen Alpha? I'm like, you might be.
I have zero comeback for that because it was such an idiotic comment. I'm not even quite sure where to go with it.
I know. Thank you for that, honey.
You're quite welcome.
I just want to say this superstitious business, though, it's really funny to me. Like growing up as an Indian girl in American culture, I obviously have all these perspectives on engagement and wedding superstitions, but it was really funny. Were we watching Chippendales? That new
we were
miniseries on Hulu?
Mm-hmm. And then we watched the documentary.
Yes. Because we're just like, really? Like, what's real here?
Yeah.
But I think the main character, he goes back to India. And I think you were asking me, like, what god is that they're praying to? And I'm like, that's Hanuman. And Hanuman is He's a really sexy, handsome monkey god. He's got like a great build, but he's got this long ass tail, and then he's got a monkey face. But he's very famous in India for where all the chicks go to pray to Hanuman, praying for the right man to come into their life. And they say, if you pray to Hanuman, you'll find the right man. So it's just interesting, these superstitious beliefs and how they're maybe interpreted or actioned upon in cultural kind of societies.
Very powerful man. He's got game.
He knows how to fly and he can carry a mountain.
Oh, interesting.
He's a really cool guy.
It's almost like that show that my daughter used to watch. That
Oh, he's a little bit like Monkey God, like the Thai
Monkey God.
show.
Yeah.
Yes. Not dissimilar because they have influences of Hinduism in Thailand.
So did you pray to Hanuman for me?
No.
Oh, he actually came to you.
You have a long
In
tail?
a dream.
You have a long tail?
I've got along something else.
And you have you could lift buildings?
I am a very powerful individual. I don't need to lift physical objects. I lift them with my mind.
Interesting.
Yeah. I don't think there's a wrong way to propose if you feel it's the right time and the right place. Unless it's like that movie Married in Vegas with Ashton Kutcher and
Oh my God.
and
Cameron
and
Diaz.
Cameron Diaz, where
I know exactly what movie you're talking about.
they have a drunken night out and all of a sudden they end up married.
Lord.
So
Do not get engaged to someone you just met now. Give it at least a month.
give it at least 24 hours.
I mean, I say a month. And maybe actually spend time with them.
Get to know them a little bit. The week before I was going to propose to you, you and I, we were at a friend's wife's birthday party. And at the club, all of our, several of our close friends were there. And towards the end of the evening, we're all gathered around, a high top table. And I remember one of our good friends, his wife says to us, "I can't wait till you guys get married. Greg, you have to come out, on an elephant. I want like a big Indian wedding. I want to wear a sari." Like they're expecting this big Indian extravaganza.
I remember that.
And so she's giving us her whole, perspective on what our wedding should be. Meanwhile, she has no idea in exactly 1 week, 7 days, I will be proposing to you. And you had no idea, obviously. So I'm like listening to everything. And then all of a sudden other people are telling me, oh yeah, Greg, are you going to come in on a horse? No, wait, you need the elephant. And like everyone's like putting their Indian wedding theories together of how spectacular this is going to be. And
Are
I'm
they
just
paying
sitting there.
for it?
Well,
we'll start a GoFundMe
for our wedding budget.
Spectacular Italian Indian wedding.
Well, that's another thing. People keep asking us, one, when are we getting married and what is it going to be like? And so we keep going back and forth about what should we do? Should it be something as simple as going to City Hall and then we go to a concert that night? Do we have an elaborate wedding? Do we get married in Italy? Do we get married, in a smaller spot and then have a larger just party somewhere else? So we're actually figuring out what is the best way
so many scenarios
for us to get married. And the one thing, when you decide to get married, there's no right or wrong way to get married. It's what's right for you as a couple. And you as the couple are the most important thing in this wedding. Everyone else is secondary.
Well, yeah, that's I think that's a big learning, I think, for both of us from having been married previously. But I think this comes down to something you and I talked about in one of our episodes earlier. You can't make everyone happy.
No, you can't.
So you need to do the things that are going to make each other happy because that's your life partner and that's who you're going to be with.
We find fulfillment in one another and we make each other happy, and we're willing to sometimes sacrifice our individual happiness to make the other one happy, because when you can empower someone else that you love to be happy, then they will empower you when you're going through challenges as well. So I look at us as a unit. That's one happy unit together.
It works because I see us as a unit too.
And that's and that's when you know you should get engaged.
That's right. And now off to wedding planning.
Bah!